Alright, hello YouTube, this is Ahoy. So, in this week's tutorial I will explain the basic principles of EQ. Most of you guys most likely know how an EQ works, but let's go through it again, just in case. So in a basic EQ you have 5 different ways that an EQ works. It has a high pass filter that takes off everything below the certain point. Then you have a low shelf, which boosts everything below that certain point. And then you have a low pass filter, which is the same as high pass filter, except it filters everything above a certain point. And then there's the high shelf that boosts everything above. And then you have the so-called bell filters or band filters, which gives you a spike or a bell kind of curve, depending on how wide the curve is. So now you know what are the basic principles of EQ, but then there is this one mindfuck EQ that many people don't actually know how it works. So I will show it to you. And it's this so-called Pultec kind of EQ. And at least for me, when I was using it the first time, it was really mindfucking, like how does it work? Okay, so let me explain. You have a low band here, attenuator here, and they use the same frequency. Then for the mid band, you have a definition of width here, and then a boost, and the frequency is here. For the high shelf, you have an attenuator here. But for at least for me, this EQ is kind of hard to explain without hearing it. But I want to know what it does. So what I will do is that I'll use the Waves Q clone. Okay, so now I made a loop with the Q capture, and then I will put the same EQ here. Okay, so now it's there. And here I will use the Q clone. So how does this work is that since this is in the loop with the Q capture, everything that I do here will transfer here. So as you can see, if I boost it here, bam, you can see it there. And if I attenuate it here, bam, it goes. Okay. So I hope this will clarify a bit how a Pultec style EQ works. Let's actually take the lo-fi mode off. This is just a volume, so don't. And this is a high pass. So now you know what those do. This just adds some 60 and 50 hertz like noise. So I tend to like to keep those off. So first let's start with the attenuator on the top shelf here. Let's put it to the max. And there we have a 6 dB attenuation, or actually 7 dB attenuation at 20k. And at 10k, 5k. Okay. As we can see, it actually goes beyond that. So it's kind of distracting. And let's take it off. And then for the mids, we have this part here. So let's boost that. So we have 3k, 4k, 5k, 8k, 10k, 12k, 16k. And as you can see, for some reason the Q seems to change. Or maybe it's just me. So this is basically just one mid-band boost, and this just tells how wide it is, but it doesn't boost as much. So if I put it at, say, 6 dB, okay, now it's easier to see. Okay, so when I change the bandwidth, it actually decreases the boost. And when, as you can see, so it gets a bit smoother. And at like 8K, if you put it to super sharp, it goes beyond 16 dB, so it's not really reliable on how much it boosts. Okay, now we know what the midband does. Then let's check the attenuator on the low frequency. And then if we combine it with the boost, as we can see, it doesn't do the same thing, because if we take the attenuator off, it gives you a hole around 1K. And if we take the boost, off, so if you're like, man, that sounds good, you're basically doing the same thing as you're bypassing the plugin. It might create some harmonic stuff, but that's basically what is happening if you are looking just for the EQ curve. So I hope that clears out how a Pultec EQ works. So if I have the boost at here, attenuator at here, if we change the frequency around, and the most confusing part to many is that it's not 20 Hz, 30 Hz, 60, 100 Hz, but the cutoff point is at about 250 Hz here and at about 1K. So these are about 200, 300, 600 and 1K. So I hope that clears some confusion. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you actually haven't subscribed to my channel, maybe it's now a good time to do it. Just click the subscribe button above here, around here, and then also check out the Facebook page at Facebook/audio tutorials. And thank you for watching, and make good music.